Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the number one source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter. Hey, fine folks. This is Freedom Fighter, and welcome to Saturday Night Dialogues. Whew, we have a jam-packed call tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to, briefly, I'm going to tell you, we are going to get into Iraq and what's expected from Iraq with the Dinar coming next year. We're going to get into Forex and what is expected of Forex next year. We are going to get into Vietnam and what is expected of them in the Dong next year. All of this is what Goldilocks has been sharing for the last several weeks with actual data, receipts, as Lady Unique says. We're going to show it to you tonight because some of you may have missed it. You probably skimmed over it. You probably didn't understand what it was. You probably missed one of the podcasts during the week where we shared it, but we're going to get into details tonight to help you to understand. All right, let's get into some prayer and then we'll get into our quick announcements and then we're going to jump right into it. Father God, thank you. We give you grace. We give you honor. We give you glory. We appreciate all that you have done for each and every one of us. We thank you for life. We thank you for breath. We thank you for being able to live and be in the moment. Father God, we know that we may not see everything. We may not know all the answers to everything in life, but we definitely know that no matter what, you are the guiding light that's able to allow us to move on this life's journey with your will and your purpose. And we just ask that you'll continue to allow us to walk and order our steps in your word. We always will and continue to make mistakes as human beings. We always will and will continue to fall short, but we ask that you allow us to continue to get back up and to continue on with the fight of life. We ask that every last person that is listening to this call is able to understand and comprehend all of what we share, all of what Goldilocks has been able to provide as information to the people. We ask that it's received in kind and that each and every person is in the right mind, the right spirit to receive it with love. In your precious name, we pray. Amen. Amen. All right, folks. Real quick, some quick announcements. Of course, Goldilocks QFS Dialogue Room is a read-only room now. However, if you want to know anything related to how the RV is happening, what Goldilocks has shared, not only in Goldilocks' room, but also in the Goldilocks QFS Dialogue Room, where we have gone over a lot of it in detail. That is where you can go if you want to understand what it takes, the 8 steps that we've shared on how to establish relationships with the actual bankers who can and will exchange your currency, and many of the stories of many members that have done it. That is where you go. Wiley's wisdom, Wiley's golden nuggets that he's dropped, it's all there. And also Wiley's wisdom room, the links is all there as well. Then we have Dee's room, where she also drops articles from around the world on what is transpiring in the global financial system. Then last but not least, we have Goldilocks Global Banking News, where Goldilocks Global Banking News, folks, that is where you get the daily podcast that we bring to you whereby Goldilocks articles are broken down in audio form every single day. You must. If you don't want to miss what's transpiring with the RV, if you don't want to miss how to be prepared, you must like, share, and subscribe. Most importantly, subscribe to Goldilocks Global Banking News. Turn your notifications on so that you don't miss anything, so that you're not left out on how to be prepared and what's happening with the global currency reset. Goldilocks Global Banking News is touching on 21,000 members subscribed. Over 80 countries around the world, folks, are subscribed to tuning in, and over 2.2 million views to Goldilocks Global Banking News as well. All right. And just, folks, I want to remind you all, it is Goldilocks and Wiley whom I stand, and we all stand, I know I do, on their shoulders. And so, who they have come before us to bring forth the truth for many years. And I know many of you are proud and happy, I know I am, to be able to sit here and share this information every day with them. All right. I'm not sure if Wiley is here. I don't see him, but Wiley, if you're here, raise your hand. We'll acknowledge you. If not, I know you're probably busy. We will get going. Folks, we're going to have Peculiar Ram is going to read the articles tonight, of course. But like I said, Iraq, we're going to show you some information, folks. If you're really paying attention, this is why it's important to know what you hold, to be prepared to understand and know what you have. And do not rely on anyone. Don't even rely on us and what we share. Go to the sources that we share where you can obtain the information yourself. Now, I know the majority of people do not care to even think about reading or researching. And that's your business. That's okay. The Goldilocks Global Banking News, the podcast, is probably a much easier way, much more convenient way to get information. Because I know a lot of people are extremely busy. Some people work, 10, 11 hours a day. Some people may work 2 or 3 jobs. You just don't have the time to read and research. I get it. Trust me, I get it. But there are resources to help you, just even in audio. And that's from the Goldilocks Global Banking News podcast. You can listen to it while you're on the road. You can listen to it while you're on the toilet. It don't matter. It's up to you. However you want to listen to it. Whenever you have a moment to sit down and listen, you can get your information. All right. Now, real quick, before we get into this, I have a question for you. And it's a very simple question. If you had $1,000 to invest, and someone approached you and they said to invest $1,000 and invest $1,000 with them and you'll become a millionaire, but all you have to do is wait for them to contact you in the very near future to tell you when it's time to come get your millions, would you do it? I want someone to raise their hand and tell me if they would do it. You would take $1,000 and invest it with a stranger, and he told you to just, he'll contact you in the future to let you know when your millions are ready. Would you do it? I want to see who's going to raise their hand. Okay, so you wouldn't do it. But would you take millions of dollars in currency and wait for someone to tell you to come and exchange your currency, though? I just wanted to ask that question. Because you ran, are you here? Let's get ready to rock and roll.
Hey, Freedom.
Howdy, young lady. How you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself? You so silly.
I'm doing good. I had to ask the question. I just wanted to see. That's all.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
These rhetorical questions, I think, are needed.
Yes. I mean, someone wouldn't take they wouldn't take $1,000 and just invest with someone, and that person says that they'll just contact you in the future when your millions are returned on your $1,000 or your $1,000, but they'll wait the wait to be contacted about millions in currency. I don't know how. I'm not sure how that
Listen,
works. I'm
your
just
guess is as
wondering.
good as mine.
Okay. All right. Alrighty then. Let's. I think of Jim Carrey now. Alrighty
Oh
then.
yeah,
I think of what was the
Alrighty
movie?
then.
What was the movie? Because that's
Ace
that's
Ventura.
no.
Was it
I
Ace
think of
Ventura? No.
no. I think of Guru Breath, and
Oh,
I
Google
think
Bot.
of Dumb and Dumber when they were on
Oh,
the
okay.
road and they got pulled over when he pissed in the bottle and
Yeah,
then he drank the bottle and the cop
yeah.
said he wanted to taste it because he knew it was alcohol. He thought it was alcohol in the bottle. He was like Jim Carrey was
And
like
he
tic
started
tac,
twitching and throwing up and
yeah,
spitting up.
yeah. And
Yep.
Jim Carrey was like tic tac, sir.
It
That's
was like
Guru Breath.
Rob. Yeah. Mhm.
Oh
Yeah.
man, he pulled out. So, folks, you got Guru Breath. You think you're gonna wait till someone contacts you? All right. So, couldn't help it. And Sniper, man, thank you so much, Sniper, for the. You know what I'm thanking you for, Sniper.
He's hilarious. That was a perfect depiction.
Lord have mercy. All right, so folks, let's get into this tonight. Iraq, Goldilocks has shared what Iraq is preparing for, and some of this, what you're going to see tonight, is going to remind you. See, sometimes we need to be reminded. Sometimes we may hear something once, twice. Obviously, we're human. We forget. Trust me, I forget things a lot. If it wasn't for She-Hulk, I wouldn't remember if my head was attached to my shoulders. But I'm going to tell you. So we're going to share some things with you tonight, folks, that's going to make a lot of sense of what Iraq has been doing to prepare for the revaluation of the dinar. And then we're going to literally show you in writing. We're going to take a step back about a year or so ago.
Mm-hmm.
What from the CBI showed that Iraq did about a year ago, who was involved in these meetings in the United States, and then what was just announced recently by the CBI in Iraq. It's going to make sense to you. If only if you've been following Goldilocks for a while, you're going to be able to connect the dots. But then if you haven't been following Goldilocks recently, you'll understand. We're going to connect the dots for you, put the pieces of the puzzle together for you, and show it to you in black and white so that you can see it for yourself, what Iraq has been doing, what they've been preparing for, and where it's leading up to going into 2026. Then we're going to show the same thing with Forex and what's expected in 2026 in Vietnam as well. This is not anything other than what you will see in writing. All right. Now, of course, naturally, what we are going to do is we have to go right to the root of it all, folks. When you have the Trump administration in 2024, before he was even before the election, and when it's in writing, showing from his administration that he had been preparing for the currency revaluation when he returns to office, it's in writing. Every Saturday night call for the last several months, we've been showing it to you. But sometimes, folks, the truth is hidden in plain sight. But maybe you've been looking in the wrong places to understand about your investment. That's okay. Mm-hmm. Maybe when you continuously hear on Saturday Night Dialogues call, in quotations from the Trump administration about the RV, maybe it'll sink in and you'll be able to see everything Goldilocks has been saying is connected to what the Trump administration has been saying of how the RV will happen. Okay, young lady, let's get right into it.
Currency revaluation is likely to be a priority for some members of a potential second Trump administration, mainly because of the viewpoint that an overvalued dollar contributes to the trade deficit, said one former Trump administration official, adding that Lighthizer and his team are the primary advocates for the approach. But weakening the dollar could have other far-reaching consequences, from sending consumer prices for imported products soaring to inviting retaliation from other countries and threatening the dollar's role as the world reserve currency, which would undermine U.S. sanctions on adversaries like Iran and Russia.
Folks, this is a quote directly from members of the Trump administration. Currency revaluation is likely to be a priority for some members of the potential second Trump administration. The RV is priority for the second Trump administration. And it tells you, because of the viewpoint that this comes back to the US dollar. This is what Goldilocks has been sharing. That an overvalued dollar contributes to the trade deficit. Folks, this is what Goldilocks has been saying for the last 7 years, to watch the water. What happens with currencies? On the water? Currencies move on the water through what? Trade. Trading of goods and services back and forth from country to country. Those big rigs, those big containers that are shipped on the water through trade. This is what Goldilocks has been saying for the last 7 years. This is how the RV happens. The Trump administration is saying the same thing that Goldilocks has been saying for 7 years. Then it says, but weakening the dollar. Folks, the weakening of the dollar, or as you'll see in Goldilocks' language of, not just Goldilocks' language, but the global financial markets language that Goldilocks shows, is the de-dollarization, meaning countries that are moving away from the dollar. They are removing the dollar for their trade to rely on their own currencies instead, because the dollar's getting weak. So they rely on their own currency for trade. So as they use their own currencies, Dinar, Dong, Bolivar, you name it, because they haven't utilized their own currencies for trade. Folks, think of billions daily traded in the open market. Billions, literally daily. But Vietnam using the US dollar, Iraq using the US dollar for those trades, for all of the exports. When I say trades, I mean exports of products, whether it's agricultural products, whether it's wood, wheat, corn, whatever you want to name it, whatever products, billions. It could be anything. Textiles, anything, but not in the dinar, not in the dong, not in the bolivar, not in any of the currencies that many of us hold, but in the US dollar. That's how the US dollar, one of the reasons why it's remained so strong for so long. But now those countries are shifting away from the weakening US dollar to use their own currencies instead. So if the US dollar may remain strong because of all these countries using it, as these countries begin to utilize their own currencies, the Vietnam, you begin to utilize the dong more, Iraq, the dinar more, and other countries, their own currencies get stronger. Therefore, their rates, their values get stronger. That is where the values of these currencies begin to move up, because their usage moves up. So it's really simple math. It's really simple mechanics. If a currency is less used, then the value is not going to be increased, not going to increase. If the currency is not used, what value does it have? It doesn't have as much value.
Mm-hmm.
The more currency is utilized, the more value it has. So you see how the US dollar has been utilized, folks, historically for many of these countries around the world. That's why the US dollar, you have countries that don't even use their own, not just in trade. You have many countries that have their own currencies, but utilize the US dollar in the local markets. Someone can go and buy groceries with their own currency and they get very little, but they use US dollar, they get a lot more. So what do you think they're going to do? Use the US dollar. But that's shifting now. Now, I'm going to show you here, going back to last year, and I mentioned a few minutes ago about what Iraq did, a meeting they had on between August the 26th and the 29th of last year, when Iraq came to the United States for a meeting. There were some very important people a part of that meeting, some very important banks and global entities a part of that meeting.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I'm sure, because you remember reading
I remember, yeah,
about,
I remember these dates, and I remember Dinar going crazy when they visited the United States. But I remember
oh,
we broke it down
mhm.
and explained what was really happening and why they were visiting. So,
Right.
but yeah, I remember
So,
all of this. Hmm.
so that was during. So yeah, that was, I guess, probably at the time last year when Iraq came to the U.S. I think there were people people that were
Yes,
saying it's time when
of
Saddam returns
course.
from the U.S. and
Yes,
it's
of
going to be
course.
posted in the Gazette and budget. And we were
The
saying,
codes were put in when they came over here,
yeah,
apparently.
we were saying, folks, that's not how this works. This is a
Exactly.
part of a process. We kept saying it over and over again. People were
Hmm.
saying, oh, Goldilocks and Freedom Fighter, why they don't know what they're talking about.
Hmm.
Here we are a year later, and you see, all you
Mm.
got to do, folks, is follow the sources, what the
Yeah.
sources are saying, and it shows you. Now, real quick, this shows on August the 31st that Goldilocks posted this, and it says, Iraq just visited. So I'll show you the screenshot and the actual article that Goldilocks shared on the 31st, and with the link, folks, directly from the CBI. And it says Iraq has visited the United States on August the 26th through the 29th of 2024. It was a high-level negotiating team that met with JP Morgan, the U.S. Treasury, the Federal Reserve, Visa, MasterCard, MoneyGram, Citibank, as well as an international auditing firm such as KPMG, E&Y, which is Ernst & Young, KTY, and Oliver Wyman. Oliver Wyman, folks, is not a person. It's not an individual. Oliver Wyman is an international consulting firm that has been involved in every single meeting that Iraq has had with the United States, not only in the United States, but also several meetings in Dubai and Qatar that Iraq had with the U.S., which included the Department of Treasury and Federal Reserve. Oliver Wyman, the consulting firm, was right there. Why is Oliver Wyman, this consulting firm, so important? Ladies and gentlemen, the international consulting company Oliver Wyman is also the consulting firm for the WTO, the World Trade Organization. So the World Trade Organization, folks, has a utilizes Oliver Wyman consulting firm to be its eyes and its ears and its leg, does the leg work. Oliver Wyman Consulting Company does the legwork for the WTO with every country that wants to be a member of the WTO. So it is Oliver Wyman Company that visits every country that either wants to be a member of the WTO or is a member of the World Trade Organization. So it is the Oliver Wyman Company that has all of the resources, the technical analysis, the best practices of every company, of every country. And they will go into a country, do all of the feasibility studies, do all of the research and development, take it back to the WTO and say, hey, WTO, this is what Iraq is doing and how they're doing it. We, Oliver Wyman Company, we've given Iraq all of the 10 requirements they need to meet in order to qualify for the WTO, and we are walking them through. It's like I'm going to give you an example. With the federal government, they have what's called a mentor protege program, where if a contractor, someone wants to get a federal contract with the federal government, let's say if it's a new company and they want to get contracts with the federal government, there's a mentor protege program where there are experienced federal contractors. Let's say if hold on one second. If if um let's say Peculiar Ram is is a is a contractor with the federal government. She's had a contract for 20 plus years. She knows about all of the ins and outs of the federal government and how to get contracts, how to do what are called RFPs, requests for proposals, so forth and so on. But then you have, let's say you have Lady Unique, who is a new contractor. She just got licensed with the federal government to get contracts, but she's brand new. She doesn't have really any experience. They will partner Lady Unique with Peculiar Ram, who's experienced. Peculiar Ram is the mentor. Lady Unique is the protege. So they will partner them together. So Peculiar Ram will show Lady Unique, this is how you submit your proposals, your request for proposals to get a contract. This is how you submit your proposals in order to qualify potentially to be selected to get the contract. No guarantee that you're going to get the contract, Lady Unique. However, what you will do is Peculiar Ram will say, okay, you have to take your engineers, your architects. You got to go into the local municipality. You got to create relationships with the mayor, the city council, with the everyone in the boiler room, whatever it is, and then you have to submit your request for proposal. But since Lady Unique is inexperienced, what Peculiar Ram will do, because she has the experience, she will say, okay, I'm going to submit the proposal based on my 20 years of experience and I'm going to use my experience being a mentor, and you can ride my coattail, Lady Unique, as a protege. So when the Peculiar Ram as a mentor, she has the leg up. She has the experience. She might qualify. She might win the contract. So now Lady Unique will win the contract because her mentor partnered with her to get the contract. This is what Oliver Wyman does with countries. They'll take an Iraq, say, hey, Iraq, you're a baby in this. You're just a protege. We're going to mentor you, Iraq, on how you can become a member of the World Trade Organization. We're going to walk you through the steps. We're going to show you 1 by 1, 2 by 2, 3 by 3 on how you qualify to become a member of the World Trade Organization, so that you can take the dinar international, so the dinar will then be revalued. That is what the Oliver Wyman Company does, the consulting firm does. It is a mentor, a designated mentor for every country that wants to be a member of the World Trade Organization or who is a member of the World Trade Organization. Does that make sense, Peculiar Ram?
It sure does.
So, folks,
They act as like a handler to an extent.
That's exactly how Oliver Wyman.
For their success. Okay.
That's exactly how they conduct. They act as a handler, as a mentor to walk Iraq through the process. Iraq wouldn't be able to do it on their own. They're just a protege. They're inexperienced. They're a baby. They're a third world country.
Yeah.
They're not just going to all of a sudden revalue their currency, become a member of the World Trade Organization, revalue the currency. If for the last so many years they've had all this corruption, they've been not up to date with technology. Iraq just implemented and passed through their parliament all these different reforms that were necessary in order to meet international standards. But now they meet. Just because they passed the reforms, folks, doesn't mean that they're ready to now run on their own, and the dinar will just revalue, or that they can just run on their own and become a member of the World Trade Organization. So what does the World Trade Organization do? Say, okay, Iraq, we're gonna partner you as a protege with our international consulting firm, who will be your mentor, and they will walk you through. Folks, I just gave you $1 million worth of game of information that you would have never known of how this works. Not to toot my own horn, but can you think of any guru who would have told you exactly what I just told you? It would take someone who has the experience in that world to be able to get on here and articulate it to you, to express it to you so you understand how it works. Yes, that's a toot. I don't like to do it. I don't like to do it, but I just had to put it out there so you understand.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're going to get into let me finish up. So, part of this discussion, one of the values of a meeting such as this in last year, when Iraq came to the U.S., Goldilocks is stating is to include trade facilitation. Currency revaluation is likely to be a priority of the second Trump administration, large in part due to the overvalued dollar and the trade deficit. Goldilocks is stating one of the values of this meeting, such as to include trade facilitation, international auditing standards help to facilitate trade and support economic growth. Every international negotiator knows how to factor currency rates into agreements with their foreign business partners. One second here. All right. Part of the discussion dealt with moving from an electronic platform to virtual bank, whereby a direct banking relationship can occur. Direct banks, also known as branchless or virtual banks, offer their services online through mobile apps, email, and other electronic means. So you see here, folks, Goldilocks is sharing with you back in last year, almost a year ago, August, a part of the meetings that Iraq came to the United States to have with the Department of Treasury, the Fed, Oliver Wyman Company, and so forth and so on, was about connecting their banking system internationally in a digital means. Goldilocks continues by stating, yes, this requires, for the digital connection, folks, Goldilocks is stating, this requires a stable exchange rate that can be used between countries in trade and foreign currency exchange. These determinations are a part of supply and demand ratios factored in through trade. Folks, remember I mentioned to you about how currency, when these countries use less of the dollar and use their own currencies, that's supply and demand. The demand for the US dollar goes down, and the demand for their own currencies go up in through trade. This is how the currencies revalue. I'll continue. The people invited to this meeting last year at the US with Iraq, the people invited to this meeting was no accident. It was a negotiating team ready for action. It was a meeting to discuss the requirements necessary to open their accounts, meaning Iraq, and their banking system with international correspondent banks. This transaction is expected to occur by the end of this year, and that it did, folks, by the end of last year. In fact, Goldilocks shared another article by the end of last year directly from the CBI where they stated they successfully connected to these international correspondent banks. Well, what are the international correspondent banks? These are the international banks that do hold now Iraqi dinar and reserves, and also many other foreign currencies. But these international correspondent banks are the international banks that can move the dinar through the international banking system, because these international correspondent banks have other sub banks around the world where they are connected to and affiliated with. Goldilocks continues. This moves Iraq from a supervisory role with the United States to a more independent nation, where their own rules and regulations to guide their financial agreements around the world. Yes, Goldilocks is stating, this is the information that we have been looking for a long time. Watch the water. So, folks, this was August of last year, where the international consulting firm, the mentor, Oliver Wyman Company, consulting firm, was in the United States with Iraq. Now, we will go to fast forward to what Goldilocks is sharing about the most latest meeting with the Oliver Wyman Company. Okay, my good lady, I had to mute you there. Sound like you were trying to fight out of a paper bag or something.
I thought I was muted.
Yeah, you was telling you was trying to fight out of a paper bag while eating a bag of Doritos. So,
Oh my goodness.
okay,
I
good.
was not eating no Doritos. I'll say that part. um, Oliver Wyman's involvement with Iraq's correspondent banking integration will intensify in 2026, transitioning from strategic planning to active performance evaluation and on-the-ground implementation.
Now, folks, we went from last year, 2024, with the strategic meetings that Oliver Wyman had with Iraq. And remember, folks, there are four major agencies that oversee the RVGCR. And when I say that, I mean there are four major agencies that oversee all currencies. The United States Department of Treasury, which they met with, the Bank of International Settlements, the BIS, the World Bank. Of course, many of you have heard of the World Bank as well. And then last, but definitely not least is the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. And it is the International Monetary Fund that also plays a role as like a consultant, where they've done consultations, Article 4, on how and what a country needs to do to revalue their currencies. Not just to revalue the currencies, let me make sure I'm be very clear, but what a country needs to do to stabilize their currency and strengthen their currency. They did it for Iraq. Goldilocks provided that information last year and also here, and then also for Vietnam. And just because remember, it's the International Monetary Fund where Goldilocks showed just over a month ago where the International Monetary Fund wrote a report that included for Vietnam's informing Vietnam that they can and should begin to float the Vietnamese dong. So here we have Oliver Wyman and their involvement with Iraq's correspondent banking integration will intensify in 2026, transitioning from a strategic planning, meaning the planning stages, which they've been doing with Iraq, to a active performance evaluation and on the ground implementation. This is action that's going to be taken in 2026. This is the direct quote, folks, from Oliver Wyman Company. Active performance evaluation and on the ground implementation. It didn't say boots on the ground, did it? No, it said on the ground implementation. I couldn't help it. Go ahead. This is confirmed. This is confirmed. Go ahead.
This is confirmed by the CBI's official roadmap, co-developed with Oliver Wyman, stating that 2026 to 2028 marks the evaluation and integration phase, where Iraqi banks will be scored on global compliance metrics like Basel III, FATF, SWIFT, GPI, etc.
Pause 1 second, beloved. Pause. Folks, this is telling you what's going to happen in 2026. This is the evaluation in the integration phase. Last year, 2024, was the planning phase. Now with Oliver Wyman, remember, this is their mentor to take them to international. Now they're saying 2026 will be the implementation phase. Go ahead, young lady.
Direct contracts with the CBI and the Trade Bank of Iraq to monitor 15 plus private and state-owned banks for correspondent readiness.
This is important too. Direct contracts with the CBI and the Trade Bank of Iraq to monitor 15 plus private and state-owned bank in Iraq for correspondent readiness. What does that mean? This is the connection to the international correspondent banks who will move the dinar internationally, folks. You can continue. Ongoing pilot programs.
Ongoing pilot programs as of Q4 of 2025 with banks like National Bank of Iraq and Bank of Baghdad to establish direct USD EUR clearing lines with US and European correspondents. For example, Citi and Standard Chartered.
These are some of the international correspondent banks. Citi, which is international, Citibank, Standard Chartered Bank, international, so forth and so on. These are just a few of the many. But this is where the Oliver Wyman Company helped Iraq to connect to these international correspondent banks so that they can move the dinar through the international banking systems because the Iraqi dinar, folks, is not international. I don't know I'm sure many of you have known that. It's not. Because if it was, it would have an international rate. It does not. In order for the dinar to be able to move internationally, it needs a mentor. The dinar needs help with experienced international banks that have been moving currency throughout the world for years, and also international correspondent banks who transact foreign currencies on a daily basis in the trillions of dollars. These are the international correspondent banks. So in the analogy I use with Peculiar Ram and Lady Unique, think of Peculiar Ram as being the international correspondent banks. Think of Lady Unique as being Iraq, the mentor and the mentee, or the mentor and the protege. See, so I hope, folks, that you are listening to this, you're beginning to understand how and why Iraq needed help in order for the dinar to get to a point of the revalue. I know many of you are thinking to yourself, this makes a lot of sense because it's in writings in black and white, directly from the CBI, directly from the IMF. You can continue, young lady.
Okay.
Are you having Doritos or is it Pringles? Which one is it? I'm just asking.
What you mean?
Don't go ahead. You too loud, Mike. I gotta mess with you. Go ahead.
Am I noticeable? I'm sorry, guys.
Are you? Is the Pope Catholic? Is the Pope Catholic?
Hello. Do the gurus lie?
Hello. Okay, you can go ahead.
This deeper engagement is not speculative. It's part of a $300 million and a multi-year reform package funded by CBI reserves and World Bank loans. That being said, the real dinar catalyst isn't 2026 banking access. It's 2027, 2029 oil diversification plus the WTO accession. That's when structural revaluation pressure could emerge. I don't know if I want to say it 2026 or 2026. Like I get caught up when I don't know how I want to say the years. I'm sorry.
No problem. So folks, you got to understand 2026 is the implementation phase that the consulting firm, the mentor is saying the implementation of all these things that are happening with Iraq, 2026. But this is where Goldilocks has always said for all the currencies. This is where, folks, you have to have an exit strategy because currencies will continue to go up in value. Let me just be very clear. Currency rates will continue to go up for several years. This is why, folks, you may not understand it, but just take it. Let me ask you a question, ladies and gentlemen. If someone was a Forex that traded Forex for a living, told you how this works, would you not believe them, or would you rather believe someone on the internet or anyone, period, who has no experience with Forex, but they're just telling you what you want to hear with dates and rates? Or would you rather someone who has experience with Forex? Or are you the one that would take your $1,000 and wait? Might be the same person. But folks, this is why Goldilocks has shown in writing. It's common knowledge in the Forex world. Currencies move every single day. You can exchange currency as much as currency as you have. You can exchange as much as you want. Because I know many of you have been given the impression that there is this mythical, magical event where all currencies were going to revive at the same time, and then you got to rush in and take your currency, and then boom, 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 boom. You have no more opportunities to exchange your currency ever again after that in life. Because it's like what Ram has over there, chips, and it's double dipping. Really? Come on, folks. Forex is Forex. There's no such thing. A Forex currency trader trades currency every single day, multiple currencies all day.
That's right.
For a living and profits daily. So what Goldilocks has been sharing is that there's going to be multiple opportunities for you. You don't even realize it. This is where your relationships with your bankers comes in, because they can take your currency, they can flip it from one value to another and continue to increase it multiple times for years. But you don't have to believe a person who has experience with Forex. You can just believe the people that are telling you on the internet. For the last 20 years, they've been telling you the same thing. And how's that worked out for you? Now, folks, you have to understand. So there will be several opportunities for you to exchange dinar. There'll be several opportunities for you to exchange your dong, any currency that you hold, for several. This is where having a plan, a strategy. You don't have to know all of the you don't even have to know the strategy. You can literally establish a relationship for free with actual bankers. That these firms, they transact in Forex in the trillions daily. They have the experience. Folks, guess what? You are the protege. They are your mentors.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you not reaching out to your mentors, the wealth management firms, to say, hey, I need help. Teach me, show me the way. Is it because you believe, and it's okay if you do, that's your business, you believe that you're going to get a higher rate if you wait to go to a mythical place behind the Piggly Wiggly? Is it because you're going to wait to be contacted to go exchange your millions, but you wouldn't do it for $1,000? But you'll do it for millions? I wonder who's gonna be next to establish your relationships with a mentor named a wealth management firm that's licensed, regulated, and transacts in Forex daily for years in the trillions of dollars. But you would rather wait for the hope to get an email or be contacted to go to a place that you've never heard of, that's not even possible to go check out. Okay. There are places that you can go to get examined. I encourage you to call for help. Go ahead, young lady. I digress. Continue, please.
Okay. You always do that and ask me to read right after.
I do it on purpose.
In essence, Iraq is currently standardizing their banking system.
Mm-hmm. They're standardizing their banking system. Folks, they are preparing their banking system. Go, young lady.
Okay. New mechanisms in the Forex market for 2026.
So we go from Iraq and, of course, Forex. So we go from Iraq and the Dinar Forex to now Forex overall. So we see something happening. Oliver Wyman, the protege, the mentor, as the mentor for Iraq, and the Oliver Wyman Company is saying that 2026 is going to be the implementation phase for Iraq, where Goldilocks is showing directly from the firms and directly from the CBI, directly from the IMF, that the continuation of the implementation for Iraq will be from 2026, 2027, 29, and continue. So you mean to tell me the dinar can continuously rise in value for several years? You mean to tell me I can exchange some now, allow my wealth management firm to grow my millions to more millions, hold some back and let that, keep it under my pillow, my mattress, keep it away from my spouse, don't tell him or her, and then allow that to grow. And as the rate goes up, I then take that to my wealth management firm and say, hey, grow this too, or keep all of it in the wealth management firm. Maybe tell the wealth management firm, here, take my $2 million and let's go ahead and exchange that right now. Flip it and turn that $2 million into $7 million, $8 million, and $9 million, because it can be in a high yield investment program to 3 or 4 different investment programs. One at a high yield, one at a medium, and one at a low, where risk is low, risk is medium, risk is high. And I have an all well-rounded approach called a 3-legger approach, where I have 3 different opportunities to make money: high, medium, and low. And then I have my other currency. I have another 5 million that is not in any of those 3 leggers, that are any of those, but it is in an account that is sitting safe and secure, possibly backed by assets like gold or something else, silver, agricultural products, and it's just sitting there waiting. My dinar is sitting there also waiting. My other part of my 5 million in dinar is waiting there, so that maybe as the dinar continues to go up in value, another year or so after it initially goes up, and then it goes up now. So when I exchanged that first, my dinar was $1. Then what I had other and held back in 5 million in this other account with the wealth management firm, that now the dinar is at $3. So now I can exchange it at $3. The other 5 million that I had there, put that in the 3-legger account. Then I didn't tell anybody that I had a safety deposit box. I took that out and put it into the wealth management firm. And then also what happened there with the dinar, and another year it continues to grow. Now I have a whole entire portfolio on the dinar that continue to go up in value year after year after year after year. Let alone, I didn't even talk about my dong. I didn't talk about my Bolivar, but I did the same thing with the wealth management firm. The mentor that has license and experience in trading Forex in the trillions daily? Nah, who would want to do that? I think a more intelligent investor would just wait on a notification to go to a redemption center, because all the guru said that's what's going to happen. And I'm going to just wait and give my money to a stranger.
Wow.
You can continue.
Let's see. Where are we at?
Oh, I'm sorry, I messed you up. Several countries, new mechanisms in the Forex market. Folks, here we're getting into overall Forex, folks. Went from Iraq and Forex to over 2026 and beyond. I'm gonna repeat that. 2026 and beyond. Folks, this, and I'm sorry, I had to go back because you ran. Just hold your horses.
I'm holding.
Folks, this is from the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. Goldilocks is sharing the articles. Goldilocks is sharing the articles directly from Iraq. And the investment climate from the state government. All the links are there. I know Sniper probably done read it, and Lady Unique and probably some of you others done read it like 1,000 times all over. That's Iraq. What Iraq is going to be doing, well, based on their mentor, their mentor, Oliver Wyman, who is the designated mentor for the World Trade Organization. Now we're going to get into Forex. in 2000. Remember this. Remember this. Remember this. Forex trades in the trillions daily. Daily transactions. Now we're going to go into Forex overall for 2026. Iraq 2026 from Oliver Wyman and Forex. Now 2026 from overall Forex. Go, young lady. New mechanisms.
New mechanisms.
New mechanisms in Forex market 2026. Several countries.
Oh, yeah. Several countries and economic blocs are actively implementing or piloting new mechanisms in their foreign exchange Forex markets, set to take effect or expand significantly in 2026.
Very important.
These,
Several countries
Mhm.
and economic blocks like BRICS, which is an economic bloc, are actively implementing or piloting new mechanisms in their Forex markets set to take effect significantly in 2026. Go, young lady, these initiatives.
These initiatives primarily revolve around digital currencies, blockchain integration, local currency settlement systems, and enhanced cross-border payment infrastructures.
Cross-border payment infrastructures, folks, is foreign currency exchange, because when you exchange one currency for the other, not just you, anybody, country to country, when countries that do like Forex every single day, trillions in the dollars every single day, cross-border transactions, one currency for one country, the other currency for another country, when they exchange, do trade, that's cross-border. Why? Because it's one country on one side of a border and the other country on the other side of a border. That's called cross-border transaction. That is Forex. You have the dinar, you exchange it for US. The dinar, Iraq is on one border, U.S. is on another. That's cross-border transactions. Go, young lady.
They aim to reduce reliance on traditional intermediaries like the US dollar-dominated SWIFT system, improve efficiency, and introduce novel fundamentals for currency valuation, such as tokenized assets, programmable money, and alternative reserve benchmarks beyond interest rates and trade balances. This isn't a wholesale replacement of the Forex market, but a gradual evolution toward a more fragmented, tech-driven ecosystem.
This is the digital transformation, folks, into the new digital banking system, which Goldilocks has always said was coming. So Forex is transitioning into the new digital banking system, which it already is there. It's the tech-driven system. Just like we just saw where Iraq is with Oliver Wyman showing them the way of how to connect into the new digital banking system. Iraq passed the digital reforms, the digital banking reforms earlier this year. Vietnam did the same thing earlier this year. They're all preparing to transition. Key examples include, go ahead, young lady.
Oh, do you want me to still scroll down?
No. Yeah, scroll down.
Okay.
You know more than me.
Scrolling down to why is this important?
Yes.
This transition is pivotal for global finance, trade, and geopolitics, as it fundamentally alters how currencies are valued, traded, and weaponized. Here's why it matters. Number one, geopolitical shift and reduced USD dominance.
Okay, this is very important what she's about to read to you, folks. Here's why it matters. This is around Forex and what's happening in 2026. And what Goldilocks is about to explain, what Peter Rand's about to explain from Goldilocks, is why the shift matter in reducing US dominance, US dollar dominance. Remember, currency revaluation is likely to be a priority. The second Trump administration, large and due to a large part in the overvalued dollar, in the trade deficit, but weakening the dollar. So this is where Goldilocks has been sharing with you folks. This is the weakening of the dollar. This is reducing the US dollar dominance. This is what the Trump administration is saying, and this is what is being shown. There's less reliance on the US dollar in trade. This is where the demand for the dinar, the demand for the dong, and other currencies around the world, countries will utilize their own currencies, and less reliance on the dollar means that there's more reliance on their own currencies. This is how their rates go up through the demand of their currencies going up.
Yeah.
Good, young lady.
The USD currently underpins 88% of Forex transactions and 50% of global payments.
Just think about that.
Mm-hmm.
88% of
Wow.
Forex transactions, folks, is in the
Wow.
US dollar.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And that's
Yeah.
trillions daily. This goes to show you, folks, how the dollar has been. It's been the King Kong all over the world for so long, but that's changing. 88% of Forex transactions in the US dollar,
And half of the globe.
and half of the globe.
Wow.
How can countries have a strong currency if they're not using their own currency as much, but they're using the US dollar more? This is where you're seeing now that's changing, because it's the weakening. This is where Trump intentionally weakening the dollar
Yep.
through leveling the playing field so that see, folks, you got to realize it has been to the advantage of all these countries around the world for the US dollar to be strong, because they can use the US dollar in trade. They don't need to use their own. They make more money. They get more kickbacks from using the US dollar in trade. Meanwhile, they've been taking advantage of the United States. That's why, for example, like Vietnam last year, $123 billion surplus in trade with the U.S. That means profit, but the U.S. 123 billion in a deficit with Vietnam last year. See, that's how the dong was able to be so weak, but that's to the benefit of Vietnam.
Exactly.
They're making money, 123 billion just with the U.S. in profit. Think about all the other 100 plus countries that they do trade with and the profit that they were getting, all from devaluing the dong and just utilizing the U.S. dollar like every other country in majority in trade, 88%. See, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Folks, the numbers are right here. It's telling you what's going on with with Forex. So you see now the de-dollarization, the weakening of the dollar is Trump's agenda. Again, when the reporter asked Trump in 2017, President Trump, what are you going to do, if anything, for all these countries that are devaluing their currencies? He said, I'm going to level the playing field. I'm going to level the playing field. See, your favorite gurus heard that and they said, oh, that means all the currency is going to be the same value, all equal.
1 to 1.
You heard that in 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and now 25. If you would have just followed Goldilocks the whole time, trade, watch the water, instead of watching colorful shows and stuff that tickle your ears, you should have just been watching the water.
Yes.
Now you see, watch it where Goldilocks is saying, watch the water. What do you think initiated what's happening with the weakening of the U.S. dollar and the strengthening of the other currencies? Have you heard of tariffs? Do you know tariffs is done where? On the water, through trade. Are you going to start picking up what Goldilocks has been putting down? Or will you take your millions and wait to give it to a stranger? Go ahead, young lady.
New mechanisms accelerate de-dollarization, with BRICS plus non-USD trade rising to 35 to 40% by 2026, eroding its reserve status. Global USD holdings could dip to 52 to 55%.
Okay, pause. Let's take a pause for the cause. where the USD holdings could dip 52 to 50. That's a 30+% drop in the USD,
Wow.
folks, which means that's a 30+% increase for these other currencies. No, 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 no. Don't get your mind thinking of mathematics, trying to calculate what
Right,
their rate
right.
gonna be and all that. Stop. I know what y'all doing. I know what y'all doing. Stop it. Don't be a date chaser and a rate chaser.
Right.
Because you see how that's worked out for you so far.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, young lady. You can continue.
Okay. This favors exporters like China and India, but heightens volatility. For example, emerging market currencies swinging 10 to 15% on policy shocks, while empowering
Ooh,
blocks. Go ahead. I'm
ooh,
gonna
folks.
let you cook.
Folks, do you know that you hold an emerging market currency?
Mhm.
Do you hold the dong? Do you hold the dinar? Folks, did you know those are emerging market currencies? No? Yes? Maybe so? Never knew? Goldilocks is showing directly from the sources what the potential swing is going to be with the actual resources that are telling you. It may go against the grain of what you've been told or what you want to believe. This is why it's not necessary to speculate what a rate is going to be when you should just establish your relationships with those who can take your exchange and flip it for you, where it can possibly be more than what you even thought it was going to be. But oh no, the Piggly Wiggly sounds so sexy. Go ahead, young lady. You can continue.
um, 10 to 15% on policy shocks, while empowering blocs like BRICS to bypass U.S. sanctions.
Mhm.
Okay, scrolling down to number 2,
Yeah.
efficiency and cost savings in trade.
So this is where Goldilocks is going to be explaining how these currencies will move in rate. It's all numbers. It's all trade. 55% here, 80% there, 1% here, 10% there. All the movement, reforms in place, it all is going to move the volatility. Go, young lady.
Okay. Traditional Forex settlements take 1 to 3 days and cost 1 to 3% in fees via intermediaries. Digital mechanisms like CBDC pilots slash this to near zero latency and 0.1% fees, boosting global trade by $1 to $2 trillion annually. For businesses, this means cheaper hedging and faster capital flows. For countries, it stabilizes imports and exports amid inflation, like gold prices surging to 4,000 per ounce as a hedge.
And what's going to back our currencies, folks? Gold.
Gold.
So you see how this all it is. There are various mechanisms that all move into place in order for the revaluation of currencies to occur, for currencies to move up in value. There's many pieces to the puzzle, and Goldilocks is showing you all the pieces to the puzzle. Number 3, new valuation fundamentals.
We want to do number 3. Okay. New valuation fundamentals and risk management. Currencies will increasingly be valued on digital metrics like CBDC adoption rates, tokenization yields, or regional swap liquidity, alongside classics like interest rates. This introduces opportunities, for example, AI-driven trend trading and new pairs like CNY-BRL, but risks like cyber vulnerabilities and blockchain rails or fragmented liquidity pools causing flash crashes. Traders must adapt with profitability hinging on hybrid strategies, blending fundamentals and tech.
Let's go straight to in summary. Now,
In
folks,
summary. Okay.
now remember, Forex trades in the trillions daily. Now look what Goldilocks is sharing in this summary. Go, young lady.
In summary, these changes aren't just technical tweaks. They're reshaping the $2.73 quadrillion Forex market into a more multipolar, efficient arena with profound ripple effects on everything from your grocery bill via import costs to global power dynamics. If you're trading or investing, monitor BRICS summits and CBDC trials closely.
Folks, pay attention to this very closely. Goldilocks is stating these changes in Forex, they aren't just technical tweaks. They're reshaping the 2.73, almost 3 quadrillion Forex market into a more multipolar, more efficient, profound, which will have profound ripple effects. Folks, just think almost $3 quadrillion Forex market. In 2026, there's going to be a shock and a shift to the Forex markets, especially emerging market currencies. Where do you think these increased in values are going to come from?
Right.
Now, for those of you who, now I'm going to flip the script a little bit. For those of you who think that that the banks are just going to bow down to you and do whatever you want because you have a couple of million, folks, the Forex market is a multi-quadrillion market.
Yeah.
I don't think many of see. I don't. No, I know many of you didn't realize how big Forex is. And I know many people don't care, but you have to understand how big this really is and what goes into Forex, what's involved in Forex. It's not just foreign currencies that you've invested in. What's behind it? What's involved with it? But it's mainly what Goldilocks has always said. Trade. That's what Goldilocks has always said. Watch the water.
Mm-hmm.
Now understand, almost 3 quadrillion Forex. Many people have been told and sold the dream that you will redeem a bond and become a quintillionaire. That's more than 3 quadrillion, folks.
My.
So folks are ungiven. Just think, millions of people that may have, let's say, trillions
Freedom.
in bonds or whatever currencies, and they're gonna outperform the whole market. Because what? Really?
Goodness.
Folks, are you really picking up what I'm putting down? Forex is going to boom. It's already in the quadrillions totally, but it's trillions daily. But next year, 2026, almost 3 quadrillion. You can take millions of people who are expecting to get trillions in returns, and they're going to outperform Forex itself.
It pays a no.
See, I know many of you are scratching your heads and you want to believe it because you're personalizing it to what your goals and your dreams are with the return that you're expecting on your investment. Okay. I get it. Okay. Don't get upset with me. Just hold tight. What if you had a relationship with an actual licensed mentor who could show you the way? Let's take away, let's just take away whatever you've heard about rates and dates and amounts and projects and humanitarian just take all that away, put it to the side. You can have a mentor for free All the members that you've heard with their relationships, they haven't paid anything. Trust accounts set up, they haven't paid anything. Contracts in place with exchange bankers and wealth management firms, they haven't paid anything. Meetings, lunch, dinners, nail salon meetings, all kind of meetings, luncheons, home visits, where the bankers have come to the home of members. They haven't paid anything. I mean, well, Brenda Grant had to buy some tea and some cheesecake, but that's a minimal investment for her banker. Folks, you have the opportunity to have your mentors to help grow your wealth. Would you not want to take advantage of that? You had over a year while we were not read only, where we were there 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. plus for 6 days a week, mentoring, showing, holding hands, dusting off knees, heads, and elbows when people fell and jacked themselves up with guru breath at the banks and all this and that. Come back and we get them right. Now, many of you don't have that opportunity anymore because we now read only. You think it's important and valuable to you to get into the Goldilocks QFS Dialogues room? You think it's important for you to go into the Goldilocks Global Banking News, into the playlist where you see other members who've shared exactly what they've done and how they've done it in audio, and it's there for you for free. 3 quadrillion. Think about that. The Forex market, but millions of people will become trillionaires and just kick Forex to the curb. Now let's get into Vietnam. So we see Iraq and what's going to be done with Iraq implementation in 2026 through Oliver Wyman. Implementation phase 2026 and beyond. Forex 2026. 3 quadrillion. Booming Forex market. And beyond. Now let's get into Vietnam and what Goldilocks is sharing. And when Peculiar Ram reads in the Mercury GCC, is the Global Gulf Council. This is a region of trade deals that Vietnam is expected to sign more. Vietnam right now, actually yesterday, the 14th, Vietnam finished their 3-day visit to the United States in Washington, D.C., specifically to finalize their trade deal with the United States. Trade. Did I say trade? Yeah, I said trade. Trade. You see how, folks, it comes back to what Goldilocks has always said for the last 6-7 years. Trade. You see how we're in 2024 Trump administration, the currency revaluation is likely to be priority in the second Trump administration due to large part of the overvalued dollar and the trade deficit. Folks, the terminology keeps coming back to trade. Tariffs initiated the trade. Tariffs is taxes. Taxes on goods and services. Where? On the water. What's the what? To trade. The weakening of the dollar. De-dollarization. Divorce. Many countries are divorcing the U.S. dollar based on the grounds of non-support, abandonment, and mental cruelty.
Facts.
And they are now marrying their own currencies. And this is where the value goes up. Now, Vietnam expects to sign trade deals. Go ahead, young lady. Did I put that in the room? Okay, let me put it over there.
Okay.
I got a little beside myself. Vietnam. So we covered Iraq. 2026 implementation with the international consulting firm Oliver Wyman, what they're going to do with Vietnam, with Iraq and the Dinar. Forex 2026 and beyond, what they're going to do with the whole entire Forex market, including emerging market currencies, which includes Iraq, which includes Vietnam and others. Now we're going to go to Vietnam. Go, young lady.
Vietnam expects to sign trade deals with Mercosur, GCC in 2025. These trade deals are important for the Vietnamese dong because they will increase exports, strengthen Vietnam's economy, and attract foreign investment, which can lead to a stronger currency. By diversifying its trading partners beyond the U.S., Vietnam can mitigate the negative impacts of U.S. tariffs. The influx of investment and growth from new markets will boost demand for the Vietnamese dong, supporting its stability and value. How the trade deals impact Vietnamese dong. Boosted export earnings. Trade agreements with Mercosur and the GCC are expected to lower tariffs for Vietnamese goods, making them more competitive in these large markets. This will likely increase the volume of exports, bringing more foreign currency into Vietnam and increasing demand for the dong to pay for these exports.
And folks, the increasing demand for the dong is where the value of the dong goes up. Understand? This is where the value of the dong goes up, the demand and the increasing demand for the dong. Go, young lady.
Reduce reliance on a single market. These new agreements will diversify Vietnam's export base, reducing its dependence on the United States. This is crucial as Vietnam navigates U.S. tariffs, which could otherwise negatively affect the economy and the dong's value.
And folks, this is just trade agreement with the GCC. This is not even including the U.S. So just imagine what they're doing with this global council and all of these countries in the global Gulf region. They're also doing with the U.S. Go, young lady.
Attraction of foreign investment. Economic integration through new trade deals signals a more open and attractive environment for foreign investors. Increased foreign direct investment, also known as FDI, leads to more capital flowing into the country, which strengthens the Vietnamese dong. Economic growth and stability.
This is very important. Economic growth and stability, folks. This is where the dong again continuously will get strong. This is just from this. This is through trade. Remember, as Peculiar and read, that Goldilocks is sharing, that Vietnam expects to sign trade deals with this block of countries. This is separate from the trade deal with the U.S. where they just left 3 days here in the U.S. yesterday. Go, young lady.
Economic growth and stability. The agreements will promote economic growth by expanding market access and fostering collaboration. A stronger, more resilient economy provides greater stability, which supports a stable and appreciating currency. As a result of increased trade and investment, there will be greater demand for the Vietnamese dong. This higher demand, combined with a more robust economy, will generally lead to an appreciation and strengthening of the currency.
It would generally lead to an appreciation and strengthening of the Vietnamese dong. Folks, and again, this is just based on their trade deals that they're negotiating with this block of countries in the global Gulf. This is not even talking about with the U.S. trade. Now for those of you who have relationships with your wealth manager, you're getting all your updates from your wealth management firms on these emerging markets. Now you see how you are ahead of everybody else.
Yeah.
Now Goldilocks is sharing the shift towards a market-driven Vietnam's shift to a market-driven economy. As a reminder, folks, back in July, when President Trump announced on Truth Social about the trade agreement that he announced with Vietnam, he said in all caps that the U.S. will have now full market access into Vietnam's economy. Folks, what that means is now, because Vietnam has historically had restrictions, not even allowing many countries, especially at the U.S., to import into Vietnam. Because all they were doing is continuously devaluing the Vietnamese dong by using the U.S. dollar and ripping the U.S. off. But it's not like the U.S. wasn't complicit. Not until we had someone come along named Donald J. Trump that put America first to say, no more, no mas, ripping us off. We're going to level the playing field for all countries and all currencies. This is why currency revaluation is likely to be priority in the second Trump administration, due to large in part of the overvalued dollar that contributes to the trade deficit in the U.S. So that the overvalued dollar, folks, contributed to the U.S. going into debt. Trillions in debt because the U.S. dollar was overvalued and overused in the global trade market. So now that Trump is flipping the script and leveling the playing field, now the U.S., the weakening of the dollar, folks, actually, with the trade and the tariffs that Trump is putting on these countries, will begin to reduce the debt and the deficit in the U.S. because these countries will no longer be able to rip the U.S. off and take advantage of the overvalued dollar, because the overvalued dollar is no longer overvalued. It's losing its value. It's getting weaker. The weakening of the dollar.
Yeah.
And these other countries and their currencies will begin to get stronger because the demand for their currencies go up and the demand for the U.S. dollar goes down. But because of the trade and the tariff deals that the president negotiated with these other countries, it brings more money back into the coffers of the U.S. to reduce the deficit. And at the same time, it's a win-win for the other countries as well, because they make more money on their own currencies than they would have by just utilizing an overvalued U.S. dollar. And then wink, wink, hello, we have the currencies for those other countries. And as those countries begin to utilize their own currencies and the demand goes up, so does the rate of those currencies. And we can go to the bank and exchange them for higher rates. You see how that works, folks?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you thought there was going to be a flippity of the switchy? No. 20 years they've been saying that.
Exactly.
Now let's get into Vietnam's shift towards a market-driven economy. In layman's terms, folks, because like Trump said, total market access that the U.S. will have into Vietnam and their market. This is market-driven economy where the market will determine the value through supply and demand. The open market moves the rate of the dong. Go, young lady.
Vietnam's shift toward a market-driven economy. Vietnam's push to finalize a bilateral trade deal with the U.S. and its broader efforts to shift the national growth model strongly indicate a continued evolution toward a more market-driven economy. This trajectory builds on the foundational Doi Moi reforms of 1986,
Oh, you
which
fancy now. You fancy. You got a
Okay.
lot of practice with that one.
Which transitioned Vietnam from a centrally planned system to a socialist-oriented market economy.
What that means, folks, is socialist market economy, whereby Vietnam will have moderate control over the value of the dong, as the dong will move up they won't allow it to move quick to just bankrupt their economy. They will gradually monitor and manage the rate as it goes up. That's a socialist market driven economy. This is why it was so important for the FTSE Russell, luckily, that they upgraded Vietnam's stock market to a market economy on October the 7th. Go ahead, young lady.
Recent actions in 2025, including structural reforms emphasizing private sector dynamism and international trade integration, signal an acceleration of this shift. However, Vietnam remains a hybrid system where the state retains significant oversight, particularly in strategic sectors. Below, I will break down the evidence and implications with a specific focus on currency exchange rates.
Let's go
Ding,
to
ding,
number
ding.
one.
Number one, evidence from the U.S. trade deal negotiations. The ongoing talks set for November 12th through the 14th of 2025 in Washington to finalize a reciprocal, fair, and balanced trade agreement exemplify Vietnam's embrace of market-oriented principles.
This is very important, folks, because they never embraced market-oriented principles before, meaning they never opened their market to the world, such as the U.S. and others, to come into Vietnam. They had a block restrictions on allowing countries to come into Vietnam to import into Vietnam. Even investors couldn't come in. It was basically like literally a closed door policy. But now that they are opening up Vietnam and their market, opening it up to investors, to the United States. As a matter of fact, a part of this agreement, that the negotiation agreement with the U.S. that they had, we saw an article where just the other day about this deal, this meeting that Vietnam had here in the U.S., where the majority of all of the agricultural departments in the U.S. were agreeing to Vietnam was allowing or agreeing for all of the agricultural departments, which are the farmers, to import into Vietnam. Never been done before. Why is that important? Folks, what are going to back our currencies? Commodities. What are agricultural products? Commodities.
Mm-hmm.
Wheat, corn, wood, farm products. That's commodities. Reducing trade imbalances via market access.
All right. The U.S. aims to address its $111 billion trade deficit with Vietnam, the largest after China and Mexico, by securing preferential market access for U.S. goods, for example, in agriculture, automotive, and digital trade,
Think
while
about that.
exempting, huh?
That's the fun. Think about that. For
Yeah,
the
that's a lot.
agriculture, yeah, folks, this is where your farmers, the
Big.
farm, big. Go ahead.
While exempting select Vietnamese exports from a 20% baseline tariff imposed in August 2025. This framework, outlined in an October 2025 White House joint statement, promotes reciprocal market opening rather than protectionism, aligning with WTO norms and global supply chain integration.
Folks, what that is for reciprocal market opening rather than protectionism. What Goldilocks was referring to, the protectionism is to protect Vietnam from allowing other countries and importers to come in. They protected, in their mind, protected Vietnam, which was protectionism, to have restrictions. But now, no more restrictions. Full market access for the U.S. to come to import. So now farmers. Now, if you all recall, I'm sure you remember, because you ran several months ago when Vietnam came to the U.S. and they signed agricultural deals with the farmers of the state of Kansas, Maryland, and one other country, state. I forget which one. But now, as of the
tour.
yeah, but exactly, they went on a little tour and signed these agricultural deals. Now, folks, the majority of all the states in the United States and farmers because of agriculture, will be able to import into Vietnam, import their goods into Vietnam. Why is that important, folks? What currency do you think all those trade deals? Remember, import is through on the water, through trade. All of these deals, just think, what currency? You're right. If you said dong, these transactions will be in the dong. That's just the United States. We just talked about the Gulf Global Council. Same thing all over the world.
It all comes together. I promise it does.
Absolutely. Let's skip down to number 3, specific to currency exchange rates. Moving toward market determination. The market, folks, determines the value of the rate. And when I say that, doesn't mean that the market will say, poof, it's $2. Poof, it's $1.50. Poof, it's $3. Poof, it's this. This is where the rate will continually, this is what Goldilocks has said and shown, that the rates will float for a period of 3 to 5 years. This is why you need an exit strategy where you can exchange multiple times, have a firm, have a mentor in place. You can exchange multiple times, multiple exit strategies if you choose, or if you want, you can just all take it all. And when you're told that you just go in one time and exchange it all at one time, and that's your choice. That's your choice. Yeah. That's totally up to you. But I know many
strategy.
Right, but I know many of you believe that it's just best for you to just take all your currency at once and exchange at one time, because you were told that that's double dipping if you do anything other than that. And you just want to get it out of the way. That's your business. But also you're told it's going to be this event where all currencies revalue all at once at the same time. Folks, we've shown plenty of times that is not how Forex works.
Right.
What if, I'm just asking a question. I'm not just asking a question. What if you were given the wrong information of how this is going to happen and you're not really prepared? But now think about this, folks. What if you had a mentor or a wealth management firm that is your safe, that is your protection, your mentor, that will show you the way? They deal with Forex and the trillions daily. You know all about it. So you minimize your risk in making mistakes by aligning with a licensed professional institution. I know some of you don't want to do that, but that's okay. That's your choice. Now let's go down to number 3, young lady.
All right. Specific to currency exchange rates, moving toward market determination. A hallmark of a fully market-driven economy is letting exchange rates reflect supply-demand dynamics rather than heavy central bank intervention. Vietnam's current system is a crawling peg managed by the State Bank of Vietnam, the SBV, where the Vietnamese dong is referenced to a basket of currencies, heavily USD weighted, and adjusted via daily central rates with a 5% trading band. While not fully floating, 2025 developments show a clear pivot toward greater market influence.
This is very important what Goldilocks is stating. While not fully floating, 2025 developments, meaning what is showing right now with the in 2025 with the projections of what is to come, 2026 and beyond, show a clear pivot toward greater market influence. In layman's terms, a clear pivot toward greater market dynamics where the rate will be determined by the market, not by the control of the the Central Bank of Vietnam, because they're opening the market. They're opening their markets for market access. They can no longer control and manipulate the value of the dong and keep it down, because the market will not allow them, meaning the global markets will determine the rate. But the Central Bank of Vietnam will manage it to not where it will move too fast, too soon.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't bankrupt or explode the market.
You said something
Okay.
in a previous podcast about it. It's like instead of just taking the training wheels off and just telling them to go without the proper uh, releasing of them. So, like you said, it doesn't damage the market.
Right.
Increased flexibility in policy. The IMF's June 2025 Article 4 mission explicitly urges allowing more flexibility in the exchange rate
This is a
to
quote.
build. Go ahead.
Let's make sure we quote this. The
Okay.
IMF's June 2025 Article 4, folks. The IMF did this for Iraq also. What is stating that the IMF this year in June 2025 Article 4 mission. This is a consultation they did. Explicitly urges Vietnam to, quote, allow more flexibility in your exchange rate, end quote. This is the IMF. Remember, I'm going to remind you, there are 4 international agencies that oversee all currencies. So in essence, in theory, the currency evaluations of all currencies. The U.S. Department of Treasury, the World Bank, the BIS, the Bank of International Settlements, and the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. And the International Monetary Fund, in their analysis of Vietnam, which included, oh, by the way, also included Oliver Wyman in this consultation as well, not just Iraq, but where Vietnam recommended to, where the IMF recommended to Vietnam to float the Vietnamese dong. This is the quote, allowing more flexibility in your exchange rate. That's a quote from the IMF, ladies and gentlemen, to Vietnam. Remember, we told you about you're going to see from the sources. Goldilocks showed this over a month ago. Go, young lady.
Quote unquote, allowing more flexibility in the exchange rate to build resilience against global shocks like U.S. tariffs.
Because the U.S. tariffs will cause these shocks. What happens, folks? The U.S. tariffs is now causing these countries like Vietnam to begin to float their currencies, because the tariffs that Trump imposed on these countries forced the leveling of the playing field. Go ahead, young lady.
The SBV has echoed this, committing to flexible management in January 2025 briefings, coordinating it with tools like interest rates to curb inflation while stabilizing the macroeconomy. This marks a departure from rigid controls, with the Vietnamese dong depreciating 3 to 5% against the USD in 2025 amid Fed policy uncertainties.
Let's skip down to challenges and outlook, and then in summary.
Okay. Challenges and outlook. Challenges and outlook. While indicative of progress, full market determination faces hurdles. Limited forex reserves, U.S. tariff risks, potentially 20 to 40% on transshipped goods, and domestic bad debts. Success depends on complementary reforms like financial sector strengthening and anti-corruption drives. In summary, these 2025 developments affirm Vietnam's market-driven trajectory, with exchange rates increasingly shaped by global trade dynamics and domestic reforms rather than unilateral state fixes. This positions Vietnam as a resilient emerging market, balancing socialist roots with capitalist efficiencies.
And then Goldilocks finishes by stating in 2026, we will witness Vietnam transitioning into a market-driven economy whereby market forces will determine the exchange rate of the Vietnamese dong. In 2026, we will witness Vietnam transitioning into a market-driven economy whereby market forces, remember Trump said now United States has full access to Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Market-driven economy where market forces will determine their value, the value of the Vietnamese dong, whereby folks, the Central Bank of Vietnam will no longer be able to control and devalue the dong. Now, folks, because of tariffs, because of these tariffs and these new trade deals, and along with the new digital banking system, I'm going to tell you something. This is in per conversations with Goldilocks that repeatedly said this to me, and it made sense. Vietnam and Iraq and every other country, for the currencies that we hold, folks, and because of the tariffs, and combined with the new digital banking system, whereby the new digital banking system moves currencies and move assets around the world, these countries can no longer devalue and manipulate their currencies. Because if they did, because of tariffs and the new banking system, if they manipulate their currencies, their own countries will crash. Their own countries will go into a deep deficit. They won't be able to survive. Literally, these countries will not be able to economically survive if they continue to devalue their currencies. Why? Because they're no longer going to depend on the US dollar. They have to depend on their own currencies. Therefore, they have to let go and allow the markets to determine the values of their currencies so that they can now survive in the new banking system. They cannot survive any other way. They cannot survive the way that they did in the old banking system where they manipulated their currencies. This does not mean a flip of the switch and all currencies revalued all at once and then all of a sudden. No, this is where countries will except for Iraq, there's a different dynamic. But this is what Goldilocks is showing in writing, where these countries now, they will no longer be able to survive if they continue to manipulate the value of their currencies. This is where those of us who have invested in emerging market currencies, now you see where the benefit of having these currencies, but also the benefit of having mentors at licensed institutions that can show you the way. Hope that makes sense. What I would like, before we go, I would like for several of our beautiful tribe members to unmute. I have a question for some of you. Not just about what you heard tonight, but just a quick question to several of you. If you could just unmute, to raise your hand real quick. Some of you know who you are. Anyone. I want to ask several of you to raise your hand. I just want to get your feedback on what you heard tonight, and then a question for each of you. The beautiful lady, unique receipts. If you could unmute, young lady.
Good evening.
Good evening, my young lady. How you doing?
Hi.
I'm just doing fine, even better now. Hey, Pakia Rand, what's up, girl?
Hey, sis, how you doing?
I'm good. We're going to partner later on. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, cool.
Quick question for you, beloved.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather take your currency to a stranger and just wait for it for your money to grow, or would you rather have a relationship in place up front?
Let me think about that. Uh,
Asking for
no,
a
I ain't
friend.
getting no strangers. No.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to see if it made sense to you to do. No, okay. Now, next question is, what's your take on what you heard tonight, and how does it make sense to you, because you have your relationships? How does it all tie into what you have as far as relationships with your mentors at the banks?
Oh my gosh. I'll just summarize real quick.
Go ahead.
Because I do have the relationships, and based on listening to you and the information that Goldilocks continues to share to educate and enlighten us. And you know me, I'm going to do a little extra homework on the side behind it. But what you're sharing even tonight has been touched, not as detailed, but has been shared with me by my firm through webinars and different updates that they provide me. And
Mm-hmm.
just recently, uh, also from my banker.
Ah,
Who,
okay.
yeah, so it all ties in, and it just made, I mean, it just really pivoted it. And a little side note, I've been looking at other investment firms that are, I like to say it because it just gets more credibility here, is they're starting, or either I'm starting to hear it better, but they are starting to indirectly make these statements about emerging markets and international opportunities for investment. So I know what they're talking about because Goldilocks already told us. So it's
Mm-hmm.
very proactive and very enlightening for us to be able to help you guys to help us get there.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes a whole lot better sense than me giving my $1,000 to somebody on the street talking about, come on, let me help you out. I'll give you something in a few weeks, you know? But no,
Exactly.
this, this is it. This is the real deal. The real deal.
Thank you, beloved. Appreciate it as always.
Appreciate you guys.
Your wisdom. Tie too
Thank
pretty.
you.
Tie too pretty. Yes, ma'am. Tie too pretty. You can unmute, then Sniper will come to you.
Hello.
Hey, young man. Now I know what you have amazing relationships as well. Tonight, does it make sense? Does it connect to what you're getting feedback from your mentors in your bankers as well?
Oh, yes, most definitely. Every Monday, I get like a newsletter summarizing, almost mirrors what you and Goldilocks pretty much explained.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Almost every 2 to 3 weeks, I'm getting on webinars regarding emerging markets.
Mm.
Um, One of my, I think my wealth manager from my private firm, he even talked about opening up a currency account for me. So
Okay.
it all
Gotcha.
kind of it all makes sense. It's all lining up, and plus it's always a fresh of breath air just to learn about the investment that you're in and seeing you guys provide receipts and facts,
Mm-hmm.
not just taking someone's word.
Right,
Mhm.
exactly. Because that's what we constantly say. You don't have to just don't just take our word. Just go right to the sources from the information that Goldilocks is sharing in black and white from the actual direct sources. Take your time and read it yourself. And again, if you don't have the time, you don't have the confidence that you understand it, well, you can have relationships with the actual licensed bankers that do. Let them tell you. Let them show you.
Exactly.
It makes sense. Thank you, my good man. How's baby girl, little 4-year-old?
Oh, she's doing good. She's doing good.
Good. All right, appreciate you, man.
Hey,
That's it.
Ty. Take
Hello.
care.
All right. Likewise.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll talk to
Sniper.
you
Sniper,
Yes, sir.
my good man.
later.
What's up, brother?
Man, you done started something, you don't you?
I done gave the wrong man the keys to the car.
Man, it's gonna be trouble out there.
I
But
want to play devil's advocate if I can here, Freedom. We watched. You guys have read a lot of information that's kind of pointed towards 2026. The faint hearts will look towards the end of 2026. The smart minds will start to look at some of the key ideas and dates of what you guys have put out in 2026 that'll let you know that this is really right on the cusp of happening. I want to ask the people that are sitting still a serious question. And I mean, I really want you to consider this, right? I'm going to give you a two-part question. One, if this dialogue stopped tomorrow, if the updates from Freedom Fighter and Goldilocks stopped tomorrow, what would you do? How would you move forward? Would you consider what the gurus are consistently telling you in everyday lives? Or would you look for these items or these key hints that what Goldilocks and Freedom Fighter are putting out there to you guys for you to move forward and build something for you and your family? Number two, you get the money in your hand. Let's say you forget about it. You get the money in your hand. Do you honestly believe that that is the key to your success? Just having money in your hand without a plan. Because money's not everything. I promise you, once you figure out what money can do, having it is just the beginning. You will lose it as quick as you get it, if you do not find the right people to help you build and move with it.
Yeah.
Money is a tool. You cannot do anything without the proper guidance and team. If you think you can do without it, I need to advise you otherwise. I say that because you guys have put out these specific articles that talked about what Vietnam is doing, what Iraq is doing. Eventually, we're going to come to an end of that, of what they're doing. Eventually, they're going to implement it, and it will be a real thing.
Yep.
If you're sitting on the side,
no, and what you're saying is so on point, because you and many others, like Ty just said, like Lady Unique just said, where you're getting the feedback from your actual bankers, confirming, coinciding with everything Goldilocks has been saying about what's happening with these emerging markets and everything.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
All right. Thank you for your feedback, Sniper. That's what I wanted. Wow.
Yeah. What would happen if you guys left today? What would people do? What will they take the knowledge and all the learning that we have gained from these dialogue calls from the group? Will they take that and keep it going? Or, like Mike said, will they just be content with eventually having money in their hand?
Yeah.
Many believe they're going to walk out with a bag of money.
Yeah, it's
Cash.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
And like Sniper said, money is a tool, folks.
Exactly.
But money is a tool, but without a plan, you're a fool. So this is, and as the Bible says, and I should know Peculiar Ram, what does the Bible say about a fool and his money?
You said what? What does the Bible say about fooling his money?
The Bible.
Are you looking for something particular, or do you want me to kind of remix it?
No, yeah, but just remix it. Remix it.
I could remix what the Bible talks about fools in general.
And
if we just
a fool and his money shall
love folly. And if you have money, your folly is only going to be enhanced. Honestly. Because if you're a fool at heart, unfortunately. And money, like you said, is a tool that's going to be used probably eventually to your detriment. Yeah. A fool loves folly. It hates correction. A fool hates truth.
What?
That's from the Bible. I actually will find the scripture so you could post it later.
A fool hates truth. Man, so all this truth we've been putting, they mean folk hate us too? Oh my God.
Am I your enemy because I tell you the truth?
So yeah. It's amazing, folks. Just know that what is shared with love. Oftentimes, it has to be tough love because some people do not want to hear the truth, and it just sometimes it just has to be a little rough and
Mm-hmm.
hard. Like the saying goes, if you tap a person on the shoulder to try to get their attention, if they don't listen, tap them on the shoulder again. If they don't listen, tap them on the head with a sledgehammer. They'll listen, and sometimes
Yeah.
that's just what it has to be with some people. But it's like also a parent and their child. You oftentimes will chastise your child, but you want to chastise your child from love, not out of anger, but from love. Because you love your child, you chastise them. No matter if they get angry, they get upset, they cry, they pout. If they need correction, you want to continue to chastise them because it's from love. You want them to straighten up and do right because you know it's going to get to a point where they're going to be on their own, and
Yes.
you want them to succeed. You don't want them to fail, although it's come a part of life. But folks, you got to realize your relationships with the actual bankers, they will be the ones to mentor you so that you don't have to fail. You don't have to be out there on your own.
Yeah.
You don't have to be out on an island by yourself. I know many of you believe, and you don't want to hear it. You believe you're going to be billionaires and trillionaires. You don't need nobody's advice. You don't need no guidance. You don't need no mentorship. You just got your money and you good to go.
Yeah.
Even Wiley stated in his relationships and meetings with the Treasury many years ago, I think it was statistically, they stated to him that over 70% of the people in this investment will go broke in 6 to 8 months.
Wow. I just sent you a,
You,
a
okay, I
go
see.
ahead.
You ever heard of these folks? Folks, you ever heard of professional athletes and get all this money, and oftentimes, majority of the times, they go broke? Many of you have often criticized these professional athletes.
Yep.
Are you going to be one of them?
Mm.
Okay. All right, beautiful folks. We are going to bid you all a good night. We hope you all take what you've heard tonight, take action. Don't be reactive. Take action. Make a change for yourself and your future with this investment. The clock is ticking. We leave beautiful folks. Everyone have a good night. Be well. Ciao.
Good.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning into our channel, Goldilocks Global Banking News. Everybody knows that Goldilocks is the #1 source for the RVGCR. People from around the world tune in to see what Goldilocks is sharing on the RVGCR. Don't miss your chance and get your latest updates every day. So like, share, and subscribe to this channel to get your daily podcast from the Goldilocks articles on the RVGCR. Brought to you by Freedom Fighter.